All right, so I'm just going to flip the page. I love this page mainly because the stitching that I did down here, this was the front side, can be seen so much more clearly here. And I love that. Love that. All right, so I am going to work on this page. And I'm going to start, I think, with some fabric just to go in a different direction. So what I've done is I've just chosen some of my favorites from my storyboard collection that I thought might work coloration-wise with this book. So this one is called Received. And I thought, you know, any small segment here would actually work really well. Like I look at that and it just works. And then I thought, similarly, since I did want to bring in some of these blues and greens and subtler tones, that really any segment here, like that one, like that one would work. I'm feeling that one. I'm gonna hold that aside. I'm feeling that one. I'm feeling this little piece right here. And then I have this one, which I also love. I actually think from a perspective of softness, keeping this relatively soft, this one may be a little bit too strong in saturation. So I'm going to put that aside. And then I'm going to go to one of my favorites, which is Possible, because really anything is possible. This is a huge repeat. It's a 24 by 24 inch repeat where you get completely different elements. I only have one small strip of it, but the way I look at it is that any segment here can be used for collage. And I am looking particularly at these two. So what I'm going to do, since I have all these bigger strips, is I'm going to cut them down so that they're a pile, just like my paper pile, just bits. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to worry about getting the perfect segment. I'm just going to pull the broader segments I want out. And I am going to tear, not cut, because you know that kind of stuff is what I'm all about. So I'm going to just leave this here and move this away. I'm going to pull out this one. And this is basically how I work. I don't like to have too many options. Too many options are completely paralyzing. When you just have a bit to choose from, you can always make it work. You know, maybe I need to add ink. Maybe I need to add a little bit of paint. Maybe I need to shift the color, but that's okay. I can do that. And this way, I'm not just spending so much time rifling through my stuff. I have pre-chosen some elements here that I think would work. That's my first breakdown. And then even further, I go ahead and I make the pieces that I'm going to put from smaller. I don't want words in this, so I am going to take off that word flow. And that certainly would be great to use another time. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, I'm going to move that aside. I'm going to clear my space a little bit of all these beautiful papers, even though I know they're in view. And I'm just going to see if I can find the elements that I've chosen. And really, there's not many. This becomes easier, so much easier. I have these here, and I need to play. So this is the piece that I'm going to work over, and I happen to really love that. So I know that depending upon which piece of fabric I choose, I am going to be potentially getting rid of it. All right, so I have this here. I just think, I mean, my fabrics were made from my art, so it's no surprise that oh my God, this kind of works together. So I really am digging that, but I just have to make some choices as to how I want it to appear here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something like that. So I'm going to use this at the top. I am going to just, without measuring it, just snip it a little bit right there, tear it. So I have some edge. That's pretty close to this edge. And I flipped it. I don't know if you noticed that. I flipped it because I have all this great thread, loose thread, and I want that to hang down rather than up. So I just flipped it. And yeah, I like that. Done. How am I going to attach it? Okay, I go low tech. I use glue stick. Why do I use glue stick? I use glue stick because on fabric, it's a dry glue. I know that depending upon the fabric and depending upon the thickness, sometimes saturating the fabric with a wet glue is not a good thing. Now, of course, there are fabric glues out there, and that's another way to go. The other option is to stiffen the fabric before you even go using a lot of different products. And then you have to be less concerned about the fabric being saturated. But I'm using the glue stick, my friends. And one of the things that happens is it gets really sticky on my fingers. And sometimes I can pull all these loose threads off. So I'm being pretty gentle where possible. So all that deliciousness, all those loose things, they're going to hang out over the edge. And I am loving that. And let me get to the right page at least. All right, you'll never see that again, my friends. So take your last look and let's just glue it down. I think I'm going to, yeah, you know what? I think I am going to go right to the top edge there so that some of that fray actually goes over the edge. I love working in books and having elements extend out past the page, sometimes very subtly, sometimes more strongly. One of the things I'm going to make mention is that with fabric, unlike paper, fabric can pull very easily. So if you have a design on it and you're not careful with how you glue it down, you can end up with waves in the fabric. So for example, if you wanted that text to be lined up, you just have to be careful when you glue that you don't end up doing something like that. It's just very easy to do. Now the glue stick. Let me tell you a little bit about glue stick. The glue stick works best with heat and pressure. So by running my finger over the surface, it's going to adhere better. It's going to warm up the glue. In a manner of speaking, almost wetting it again. Not exactly, but almost. And then what I can also note is areas that maybe I need a little bit more adhesion because I'm using my finger, and there's nothing more tactilely sensitive than your finger. You know, using a bone folder on that wouldn't really help me a lot. And then please note, all these delicious, delicious threads. And you see that from everywhere. It's there from before. So it's just adding more and more. And my hope is that as I add more, I get more extension off the page. And then when I turn this over, please note that now I have those little bits. It's a subtle effect, but it's there. And then even from this side, I have all those threads coming out. It's just going to elevate the look of the book. Everywhere, there's going to be that bit of fabric fray and thread, feel of thread. So I have that there. I'm probably going to add something over it. I'm not quite sure yet. This is sitting right here. This is encased in vintage beeswax. It's just an old, very thin book page that had nothing on it. And because it's in the beeswax, it's sturdier and it's also somewhat translucent. And I love that effect. And I'm just gonna play a little bit with this. I just think I'm gonna tear. Okay, so the dealio is if I am hesitating this long, it basically means I don't like it, but I am going to put it down there. I really do want to use it. I feel like it was on the top of the pile magically. I didn't ask it to be on the top of the pile, so I know it wanted to be used. And I absolutely, absolutely love that with no conscious effort, this was sized perfectly to fit between the base of that piece of fabric and not hide much of the stitching at the bottom. And it really works well with the coloration there. It's almost hard to see that there's a difference there. Now, this is definitely not going to just stay that way for sure. I definitely want some layers there. I want to make it feel a little bit more encased. This is some paper that I made probably around the same time I made these. It might even be from the same piece. Maybe not, but probably at the same time, same materials. I kind of like some of it here. I like it in several different ways. So I'm going to, without overly thinking about what's here, I kind of like this element right here. So I am, first of all, just going to use the guide of that strong line to tear that. I may use that. But I just like this right here. I don't know why. And you know what? I'll turn it over because maybe the reason why I like it so much is maybe it's because what's on the other side is even better. Maybe, maybe not. I think this could work here somehow. Or this could work here somehow. But yes, this is me auditioning. And then what I'm seeing here is that maybe this could work there. I like that. It blends really, really well, which I happen to like. But at the same time, it's distinct, but it will add another layer, another element. So yeah, I think I'm gonna just tear that though and sort of honor that split right there. I really like that. Okay, small detail. I really like that little blotchy mark. That's enough to make me say I'm not going to cover it. So I'm going to shift gears, cut off a little more from this end without second guessing. I am going to glue it in. And I really want you to note this. Make a note, people, that I was working on this page and I tore this into several elements to work on this page. But ultimately, what I didn't know is I was actually working on the facing page. Just like that.